exam season's coming. What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Praveen and I'm a first year medical student studying at University College London. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my tips and tricks to bang an A star and a grade 9 at GCSE and A Level Geography. So for a bit of background information, I studied OCR for both GCSE and A Level, but the tips I'm going to be giving in this video should be helpful for anyone studying geography. There will be timestamps in the description below, and without anything left to say, let's get to it. Tip number 1. Know your case studies. Case studies tend to make up about 1/5 of an exam paper, and they will come up in questions that will be worded in a way such as using a case study that you've learned or using evidence. So if you put the time and effort into memorizing case studies, these are simple marks to get in the exam. Case studies are also useful when it comes to the bigger questions, which will ask you to evaluate. They add substance to your answer, and it really shows examiners that you know what you're talking about. So if you're learning a new case study or you're trying to revise an old one, try use this 3-step approach. Step 1 is to identify the basic geographical facts about the place. Step 2 is to identify the geographical problems within that place. And step 3 is to basically identify the management solutions and what else is like what they're trying to do to sort it out. These are the 3 aspects which exam boards like to word or phrase their questions in. If you've tackled the case study from these 3 angles, you're most likely going to get the marks. Tip 2. Know and apply your geographical concepts. Using a geographical concept is like using pathetic fallacy in English. It makes you sound smart, but it actually gets you the marks. So you may be asking, what is a geographical concept? This is things like adaptation, mitigation, interdependence, globalization. Big words which actually help you relate one aspect of geography to another. This is really important when it comes to those high marks, those evaluate questions, those analyze questions. These type of questions really test your knowledge and see if you understand geography as one broad subject. Each exam board has their own list of geographical concepts, and you can find those on the exam specification. Now, an additional tip which I have for memorizing in general is to use flashcards, and you can find the video here linking to my Anki tutorial on how to make really effective flashcards. So before we carry on, if you found the information I've given so far really useful, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and share this video with a friend. It would really support the channel. With that being said, let's carry on. Tip number 3 I have is to supplement yourself with additional knowledge. Now, the thing about geography is you're not limited to what's inside your textbook. Although the textbook does help guide you towards the general things you need to understand. If you compare the specification of geography to a science, you'd find that geography tends to leave the aims and objectives a bit more open-ended, whereas science prefers you to learn specific things. Use this opportunity to go and read more about geography, as well as finding more sources than just the textbook. So I would recommend watching the news, reading some geographic journals, and maybe even some documentaries. Now, don't go use this as an excuse to watch all of planet Earth. I see you. Tip number 4, exam practice. Everything I've said up to this point about learning geography will be meaningless if you can't translate that over to the exam. When you're doing exam papers, make sure you do them under time conditions. That way, you're mentally preparing yourself for how it would be like in the exam. Since geography has so many essay-based questions, you might risk running out of time. So what I would also advise is, for your longer answers, make sure you have a plan written out before you actually go ahead and write your answer. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Or whatever that guy said. For evaluate questions, this is a simple strength, weakness, for, against table. For assess questions, it may be a table containing all the different points you want to talk about. Either way, if you have a plan written down and you're stuck midway through writing your answer, you can always refer back to it. So for the questions which ask you to analyze maps, use OPAD. O stands for the overall picture of the map, so what is it trying to tell us? P is to describe the general pattern, if there's a positive correlation, negative correlation. A stands for anomalies, and D stands for data, so you might want to use data that's available in the graph. So as for questions in general, make sure you not only complete the exam questions from your own exam board, but try exam questions which are similar in other exam boards. Obviously, the content may not be the same, it may not be targeted towards your own spec, but the thing is, the more questions you answer, the more knowledge you build up, and the more knowledge you build up, the more likely you are to get a better grade. If you find out that you've run out of questions from both your own exam board and other exam boards, what I would recommend is the CGP question books. They are very similar. I would also recommend their revision guides, especially for those case studies. They have them all compressed down into simple, manageable chunks. Additionally, I've left some website links in the description below to websites which I use for questions, notes, etc. Now, geography is a difficult subject. At times it felt like there was so much to learn, and at times the concepts felt so obscure. But the thing is, geography was the subject, especially at A Level, which I put the most amount of time into. There is just a satisfaction that comes to knowing so much about the world. But with that being said, here's a link to a random video of mine. If you did like the video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Keep grinding, trust the process, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.